My name is Lionel Rondu, and I'm the Associate Fair Director of the Science and Engineering Fair of Houston. I've been in this role, this is my second year. I took over after Dr. Laura Jacobs, who I'm sure many of you remember. She was the high energy member of our team that used to run around. But she's moved on to bigger and better things for the STEM Center. She's still with us with the STEM Center. However, her role is no longer trying to coordinate the Science and Engineering Fair. So as we progress or move and transition our fair to be an online virtual fair, a lot of changes have had to occur to make this happen. As I'm sure many of you are already aware of, especially with your districts transitioning to becoming virtual. And part of that process is trying to refamiliarize ourselves with a lot of the things, again, that we mentioned that we will be covering today, such as getting your ID or your student's project ID, their student ID, looking up where to get their forms. In the past, we've always had their abstract printed for them, and all they had to bring to the fair was any Form 1C or Form 7, which, you know, sometimes our students are like, I didn't know I needed that form, or I don't know where to find that form. So we're hoping that these little workshops are going to just, again, keep us up to date and kind of give us a quick refresher. And then finally, at the end of today, we'll talk about our new portal system where we'll be uploading different files and the D&S process that we will be using or utilizing to get us going. If at any time you have questions, please go ahead, put it in the chat. I'll do my best to monitor the chat. Not very familiar with Zoom at times. You know, sometimes I got messages going in the chat, but when I'm doing a shared screen, I might not be monitoring it. So just bear with me. If you notice that there's a lull in what I'm saying, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourselves and ask your questions. So to start things off, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick share screen, and we'll talk about Scienteer. To also assist us, and in case at any time our audio gets a little choppy, I've gone ahead and I've also created a few files that I'd like to share in the chat with you. So just give me a moment and I'll put those all on. If you do not see the files being sent into the chat, please do let me know, and I will be happy to email it to you at the end of today's session. All right, so feel free to follow along. I hope that the manuals is an exact replica of everything I'm going to show you guys on screen today. So with all great things that we do, a lot of what we do starts here in Scienteer. So hopefully you guys can all see my Scienteer account. Just a reminder of some of what I'm going to show you. Your screen might not look the same, but in essence, the ways of doing it is going to be very much the same as how I describe here for you. Yes, I will share the recording same way, you know, I'll load it up, upload it to the YouTube channel, our SEFH YouTube channel, and then I'll go ahead and make that link available to everyone. Okay, so hopefully, again, everyone can see that Scienteer is on my screen here. So anytime you are trying to help your student and you're trying to help them and identify what their project ID or student ID is, it's very simple. You go ahead, you log into your account. Just a reminder, Scienteer does work on a hierarchical scale. So if you share these instructions with your teachers, they might not get to see a student from another teacher's class as you might as the fair administrator or school administrator level. So we'll go ahead and we'll log in. If you do have multiple roles, you'll probably see a screen very much similar to what you're seeing here. Go ahead and pick whatever role you need to in order to access that student's account. So here we are, we're at the, this is the training account that I use, but this is the Fair Administrator. So this view here that you see is going to be from the perspective of a district administrator, for instance. So in order to get your student ID, you go ahead and you click students. Now, just keep in mind, if you advance your students to another level fair at your account setting, those students are going to be found in your winner statuses, okay? So just keep that in mind. But when you go ahead and you click your students, you'll be given a list here. Last week, we talked about, in case you didn't see this option to log in as students, you're going to have a green plus. So let me force my computer screen. There it is. So you'll get this green plus here in case you didn't get that login as student. So some of us will get this. This is more common for narrow view screens. You go ahead and you click that green plus and you go in and log in as student. When you log in as student on the student dashboard, you'll see right here where it says My Fair. So tell your students to look for that blue box with the ribbon. In that area, you'll see where their project ID information is, along with the student ID. Keep in mind, for team projects, all students of a team project have a different student ID, okay? So please keep that in mind. If your students are from a team project, they will have different student IDs. All right, so that's how we go and we find the information for our student IDs and our project ID. Again, that information, you might be saying, well, why do we need it again? That information is important, again, for when we do uploads into the SEFH portal for their competition material. The other area that I wanted to point out from the student dashboard is where to find their forms. All right, so from their forms, you're gonna scroll down. You'll see that their project steps are gonna all be here on this menu. You can go ahead and minimize that menu by clicking this arrow here, or this caret. When you click that, you'll see this option for filled forms. Go ahead and click this little arrow and you'll get an expanded menu. And here are all the forms that your students have filled out through the Scienteer process. So again, here you'll see the official, their official abstract, their checklist for adult sponsors, Form 1A, Form B, and the research plan. Now, the reason you might be saying, well, I thought we needed our Form 1C and a Form 7. The reason why that Form 1C and Form 7 does not show up in this student account here is because it was not completed. All right, so any forms that they do not complete will not appear here. Only the forms that they needed to complete. And again, the forms that you see here are the standard forms. Any question here on how to get to our student's account in order to find their project ID or student ID? Nope, great. All right, so you might be asking, well, what does it look like from the student's perspective? So from the student's perspective, go ahead and log out. From the student's perspective, when a student logs in, they'll automatically go to their dashboard, right? So their dashboard will pop up, and then again, you'll see here this blue ribbon area, project ID, student ID. They scroll down, find their filled forms, and their filled forms are available. Once they get to their filled forms, go ahead and have your student click on what form they need. For example, here we have the abstract. Go ahead, when they click it, they'll have a PDF produced for them. Now they'll have an option to print the PDF or they'll have an option to create a PDF. It doesn't matter in my mind which option they choose. What matters is where they save it, right? So if they choose to print it, they can override the print option and save it as a PDF, okay? If they do that, it'll ask you where to save it, how to name the file, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Same option, same thing happens if you click the create a PDF. They'll be able to download it, all right? Now, if you want to know if your student has gotten the official regional seal, scroll down on their abstract and you'll see this box. If the box is empty, it does not have the seal or the regional seal, okay? That box must have the regional seal before you can submit that to the web portal. I did not take an image of a student's example on what that looks like. Yes, so Dr. Ramon asked, for the abstract, do they need to wait until they get that approved to get the seal? Yes, so it will only show up as soon when SRC does give its final approval. Yes. I do understand that you might be saying, well, SRC's date is after, the end of SRC is after the date for the upload. Yes. So the intent there was that only a small fraction of our students will continue to go through SRC process until the last day of SRC. By the time students submit their projects, we should be able to, well, with the SRC committee, to get through over 90% of them, right? The last 10% that we're still working on by the date that they need to get their approval done are those projects that tend to have unforeseen issues, right? Or perhaps they needed to fill a form out that they did not complete. Perhaps they need to change their completion date. So where we're still addressing those small SRC issues that were not completed before the end. So this is very much like a student who still did not get SRC approval when they come and check in to the fair. So that's a very small fraction of projects that have this happen to them, where they will not have that official seal. Same thing when you go to the state fair, right? Is that they have that little private room for projects that did not complete the SRC process, where they go and they, present their material to the committee, and then they go ahead and get either A, and get disqualified, or B, get their approval. Right, yes, so yes, before they download their abstract, yes, they need to wait till it is SRC reviewed and approved before they can download it to get the regional seal. If they download it anytime before that, it will not have the seal. Any other questions regarding forms or where to get their student ID information? Great. Okay. So now you might be saying, all right, well, we got all this information. We know how to access our student's account. We know where to find the information. They're working on their competition material. Now what, right? So they'll go ahead and they'll upload it to our, our new web portal. So we created our own backend system where students are going to create, upload their materials. So let me go ahead and log out of this real quick. So if your students come to the SEFH portal because they clicked the link that is given to them in the confirmation message that we send to students, they're gonna get this page or something that looks like this. Please, 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 please tell your students, do not register. When they get to this atrack.com website, please tell them they do not need to register. The only information that they need to upload their documents is going to be their student ID, Scienteer student ID, and their Scienteer project ID. Those are the only two bits of information that they need to get into here. So they're going to go and they're going to go do this project component form. Right now, this is what the message is, again, that they're going to get if they go on right now, is that they have success. We are not going to open this until we get all the Scienteer data. And the reason being is because we need to issue out each participant their table ID, what we would call their table ID, which again, when they check in to us at the physical fair, we give them their table ID information so that they know where to set up the project. That information, again, we will do on the evening, that the cutoff point on the 29th, we'll work on that information in the evening, and then the students will be able to upload their documents here that Saturday. All right, so this again is the message that they're gonna currently get. Please do not tell them, do not go here to the login or register. So our IT individual who created this system is currently being bombarded with a bunch of requests, and he's asked me to reiterate this many times this evening. So I'll go ahead because I have access. So as you can see, we're going to go here to the project form. This is what they're going to see. All right. It gives you a little bit of information that we've gone virtual. Here, it's going to tell you that, you know, this is the site that where we go to upload our documents. If they do not know what documents they need to upload, please have them click this virtual competition information, and it's going to redirect them to the SEFH website that gives them this information that can be found here under Competition Materials Virtual 2021, and then they get that PDF. So back here, again, it reminds them when the deadline of uploading their documents is, and then it gives them instructions here. We try to be as transparent with our instructions on this portal as much as possible. Anytime you navigate your way through here though, please remind them to always, always, always click the yes, I accept before they click the I agree. If not, they can't click the I agree. So they might tell you, I can't click the I agree. Well, ask them, did you click the yes that you accepted the terms of service? Okay, they go ahead, click the yes, acceptance of the terms of service, and click agree. When they click agree, they're going to be prompted with this page. Again, this is where they're going to input their project ID and student ID information. Let me see here if I remember what that was. So give me a minute while I retrieve this information. Again, you input the student project ID and the student ID. Then again, remember, click yes, I accept, and then the search button. And then the system will run a verification against the numbers that they input. And then it's going to say here what project information we entered and whether or not that project. When the students see this project found information, please remind or ask them to verify the project title, the category, the division, and school name. Okay, just have them verify that information. If any of that information is incorrect, please contact our office. Once they verified that information, they can click yes, this is my project. Once they click that yes, this is my project, you go ahead again and say yes, I accept. Do not click the start again. If you click the start again, it's going to bring you all the way back to the beginning. All right, go ahead, click yes, this is my project, confirm. Once they confirm, they're going to see this page here, which will tell them if what files they've uploaded and have not uploaded. All right. Again, here where it says ISEF Form 7, ISEF Form 1C, if it is not required, it will remain saying pending. So disregard the pending information if they don't need that form. Okay. Here again, instructions as to how to go ahead and upload the material. As they scroll down, they'll get a reminder of how large certain files can be. And then again here, upload instructions. The upload instructions again are there just to make sure that students remember to do certain actions. By this time, I'm hoping that it's second nature, right? We've been online for so much that uploading documents online should be quite second nature for our students. So they'll go ahead. Here, they'll get to upload a PDF for their abstract. They'll go to the computer. I'm just gonna click whatever files I currently have. Please remind them to click the upload button for each section that they upload, okay? Click the upload button. They'll get that little bar that tells them where the progress of their file is, and then they'll also have the name of the file here, okay? Here we have the project presentation. We can go ahead, choose the file. And then again, click the upload button. Virtual, the video presentation, this must be a URL. So let me go to YouTube real quick. And find us a video to upload. When they upload a link, it must have the TTPS there, HTTPS. It'll go ahead, test your URL is reachable. Make sure that it says the URL is reachable. If it is not reachable, though, it turns red. Again, here, notebook option to upload these different forms here. There is also an option to send yourself a confirmation email. This step is optional. You do not need to complete this section here. However, if you want your students to ensure that they are uploading their documents, go ahead and have them input your email so that you get the information. Again, make sure you click the yes, I accept. Do not click the start again. If you click the start again, before you hit the submit, all of these documents will be wiped off, okay? So if they don't want that document wiped off, please have them click the yes, I accept, and then submit. Once you submit, you'll get a confirmation that your files have been uploaded. It'll say complete once it's there. Project presentation is the PowerPoint or the Google Slides. Yes, same, right? PowerPoint or Google Slides is the same. Just make sure you convert that to a PDF. The URLs must be a YouTube link, can it be a Google Drive or WeVideo or any other format. So right now we are saying YouTube. It has to be a YouTube video. We want to stay away from using a Google Drive account in the event that when the judge clicks on it, if it cannot be opened, there is not enough time to try to fix that or remedy that issue, right? Checking the video is part of the display and safety process, but again, because the window is so tight, we would prefer that it is one of those links that does not prevent a judge from clicking it and saying you don't have the necessary credentials. Which brings us to a good segue into the YouTube videos. When they load their YouTube videos, please remind your students to create that video and make it an unlisted video, not a private. Again, by setting private, it gives us credential issues. Because we don't know who the judges or the reviewers are going to be so far, it's hard to give them the credential or the necessary clearances in order to view that video. WeVideo, we have verified with Rocket Judge that they will accept a WeVideo link. But again, if it is a WeVideo link, be sure that we can open it on our end, and there are no restrictions to opening that video, or we do not need a subscription to open that video. So back to our upload. Once the files are uploaded, again, it'll give you a confirmation. You can also review your files by clicking on these links. And once you're done, just go ahead, click the finish, return home. Students can upload a different file if they realize that they did the wrong file, right? So can they make changes? Yes, they can make changes to the files that they upload up until the due date, okay? Again, changes can be made to the files that they upload up until the due date, all right? The process of uploading a different file is very much the same. They go in, they go and enter their info, excuse me. They go ahead and enter their information. Click yes, search, verify the information, yes, I accept, confirm. And here, again, they'll be given a list of all the files that they currently uploaded. If they want to change them, all they have to do is go ahead and choose a different file. Open and upload. Just remember to tell them to upload. So yes, they can change the file that they've uploaded up until the due date. And then follow the same process of confirming that file. So here you see that the file has changed, and then clicking finish. Any questions on the upload? Great. All right, brings us to the last area of discussion this evening is the display. And yes. So once the student replaces a file, Dr. Caffrey, yes, that old file gets scratched off of the account and gets deleted. Great question. Anybody else got any other questions? Okay, great. So let's talk about the display and safety real quick. Hopefully you've all seen online, we've gone ahead and we've updated all of the rules and regulations on our SEFH website. You go to SEFH, go down to participants. When you get to the participants, you scroll down to the rules and guidelines, and please go ahead and click the display and safety rules. This is a PDF document. So when you open that document, you'll get this thing here. We have modified the files to reflect all the materials that we require. One area that I really want to stress, and I cannot emphasize enough, is this whole idea of credits, right? So again, because the time frame in which we can do D&S process and get your students that information of whether or not they've passed the D&S, we want to try to avoid as much as possible students needing the sticker. All right, so I don't know how many of you guys remember what the sticker means, but anytime students came to the fair and did not give photo credits, for instance, they had to use the sticker and write down either A, where they found the image, or B, write that blanket statement that all images, pictures, what have you on this poster board are the work of the student. There is no sticker system this year. Again, there is no sticker system. On their presentation, their PDF, before they convert it to a PDF, on their presentation, there are two ways that they can give themselves credit. One, on the bottom of the slide, they can always put the credits. They can attach the credits under their images or photos or tables, graphs, or they can somewhere on their presentation use the blanket statements that the acknowledgement here, have this credit line for the students. Photographs taken by whoever, or image taken from, right? So that's all the sticker system used to be. So again, go and look at the photograph image display requirements for your students. And please reiterate this 100% to your students, that please ensure that all photos, visual images, charts, and tables are given necessary credits. So yes, it can be listed in the reference section, yes. However, just remind your students to be very clear what they're referencing in that reference section. Okay, so if they have the reference, they can put an indication, photo, slide 1, photo 2, slide 3, photo 4, whatever that information might be. Okay, so yes, absolutely, they can put that information there in the last slide. Any questions on the D&S rules? All right, so that's the biggest one I wanted to highlight on our D&S, was this photograph image display requirements. Again, there is no sticker system this year. Please remind your students to have this photo credit line. The next thing I wanted to reiterate, emphasize on this D&S is the appropriateness of photos, right? And this is how the D&S has defined the appropriateness, right? Nothing lewd or inappropriate on that. Any questions on the D&S? All right, so you might be asking, well, how do we know, or how do our students know if they've qualified or they've cleared D&S, yes, before the fair? So we are going to be using the system Rocket Judge. So let me pull that up real quick. Hopefully you'll see the Rocket Judge. So the students will go into, we will migrate all of the student project information into Rocket Judge. The judges will have, excuse me, not the judges, but the D&S committee will have criteria to look for as they review your student video, their documents, their forms, and their presentation. So we will look, does the student have their official abstract? Is there a video presentation, and is it within the 7-minute time limit? Is the presentation PowerPoint available? Is there credits for photographs? If not, we will add in the comments to the student that photos are not given necessary credits, and then also try to be as specific as possible as to what photos are not being given that necessary, or images or charts or tables. Again, photo appropriateness, are the photos on the display appropriate? Form 1C if needed, Form 7. So this again is a judging criterion that we will use, not judging, excuse me, review criterion that we will use with the D&S process. When we have completed the D&S process, Scienteer does allow us to do a mass mailing or mass email to students so that they can either A, verify if they pass, or B, they'll be given comments to them. So here I sent a email report to myself earlier before our meeting started. And so when your students go and log in to their email system, sorry, where did I put it? Don't mind the clutter, everyone. Don't mind the clutter of my email. So you'll get an email. Now, if your students do use Gmail, please, it might show up in promotions. I don't know why Rocket Judge gets kicked into the promotions. Just have them be reminded that it could. So then when they open up, they'll get an email and it'll tell them their scores. And then again, it'll say, you know, what the comments are if the judge left a comment, so that they can go ahead and correct it. If the students need to correct any of the documents, as you know, given by the feedback by the D&S, they have to go back into the web portal, the SEFH portal, to upload their new documents, okay? Any questions there? Okay, so teachers, when your students are uploading their documents, if you want to keep track of how they're doing and making sure that they're uploading the necessary files, you now know how to use, go into Scienteer to find their project ID and their student ID. You can always log on to the web portal or the upload portal to check your students' progress by entering that information. You can see what files they've uploaded. I would not suggest that you upload the files for them, right? We need to give our students some autonomy. They don't make it to the regional fair by not knowing how to navigate systems and processes. So please avoid doing that as much as possible. So Dr. Caffrey, great question. So Dr. Caffrey is asking, so if the student has to redo the presentation, they must re-record the video. So that has been a topic of discussion, right, with our team here. Given the amount of time, given the turnaround time, we've agreed that there is not enough time for a student to redo a video. So no, they will not be asked to redo the video, but they will be asked to redo their PowerPoint presentation, their Prezi, or their Google slide, or what have you, okay? We realize that the time frame is not, you know, conducive to what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do here is maintain a degree of that D&S process, so that students moving next year, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we can go back to a face-to-face, that the idea of the D&S does not fall flat on our students, right? So their presentation should just be a voiceover, no front-facing camera with them on the presentation. There is no requirement for them to do a face. There is no requirement for them, again, to do a face, right? However, that doesn't mean it is not allowed, right? So there's multiple ways that our students can create their PowerPoint presentation. Some students will benefit from embedding a small clippet of how their contraption works for our engineering students, for instance, right? And so it might be necessary for them to show or demonstrate the use of that contraption. Again, just keep in mind, whoever face is on there, if it is not the participants, they will need to fill out a consent form. But if it is the participants, all they have to do on the PowerPoint presentation is indicate that that image, because it's a PDF, it's not going to be a clickable video. The PDF is an image of the student, but on the video, the student's face can be on it. Okay, so just to give you guys an example, this year at CAST, for those of us that go to CAST, it was virtual, and we watched a presenter create a video of whatever they're showing. So they can use Zoom, like we're doing right now, to create their video, where Zoom will pop an image of the presenter in the corner and do the PowerPoint slide, right? If they do a share screen. 2, if they use WeVideo, they can convert their PowerPoint slide into images, individual images, and upload it into their timeline while they create that WeVideo. But they can also insert small clips of them, either A, demonstrating their contraption, or B, I don't know what B would be, excuse me. But so there can be the embedding of certain clips in there. Again, it is not a requirement, though, for them to do their face. So while their student's video is playing, right, while their voiceover presentation is playing, we are going to ask the judges to also follow along on the PowerPoint presentation that they submit, where they can do their note taking. Let me go ahead and share what a Rocket Judge ballot would look like. So we'll go ahead and click here. They get this email that says they've been asked to judge. However, in order to do that, I need to change the time frame. So just hold on 1 minute. Let me change the time of my event. So that I can open my ballot. All right, so here we have our test student. So let's see if peanut butter. When the judge gets their ballot, they'll get to see the video and any of the documents that you've attached. So here we can play the video, choose to go full screen if we wanted to, or we can, any of the files such as the abstract, we can open up that document there. Okay. So that's kind of in a nutshell how this D&S process is going to work. Any other questions that y'all might have? All right, so that kind of closes, I guess, the actual material that I have to cover. I know y'all been doing a great job asking questions, so we'll open it up to more questions if there are any. Dr. Cantana, I see your question, Dr. So the presentation for round 1 is asynchronous. It will not be real time. Only students that advance to round 2 and 3 will be invited for a face-to-face virtual meeting. Due dates, yes, due dates. Let's go ahead and check out. So the first due date coming up is the 29th. That is when all students need to be advanced from any district fair, school fair, or what have you to SEFH through Scienteer. So that's the first immediate due date. The second due date that we have is February 5th, 5 p.m., when all documents, all competition documents must be given be uploaded into that portal, into the competition portal that I demonstrated earlier. The February 8th at 5 p.m. is the absolute deadline. A project can complete the SRC process. And I understand for the projects that have SRC still not complete by the 5th, we will give them certain guidelines to upload their abstract. Okay, so I won't penalize them for not having that abstract for those that are still under SRC review by the 8th. Okay, after the 8th, then we'll go ahead and do the display and safety. And the display and safety, students have until the 12th to clear display and safety. Then after that, we start judging that Saturday, which means I don't get any sleep because I'll be ensuring that our judging teams are ready. But we'll go ahead and then we'll start judging, and then we'll stop judging. So if you go to our website under the judges section, we have outlined the timeline for the judging. So if you go under the judging procedures, so from the 13th through the 18th is asynchronous round 1. From February 20th through the 22nd will be round 2, which again will be online live interviews. And then February 27th will be our final grand award judging. And then we have our awards ceremony, which fingers crossed, we still have it in the books for March 3rd at 7 p.m., which will be, we will put that information of how to access the award ceremony on our website. So Dr. Caffrey, I did not talk about naming conventions for our files, which is a great question. The naming convention for files that I suggest that students use is their project ID _ followed by what that file is. So if it's the abstract, put abstract, and then title of their project, just they don't have to put the whole title, put an abbreviation of their title, right? Just a few words of it. You don't have to get, I mean, I know some of our students are very clever with their namings, with their titles. Just the heart of their titles would be sufficient. Category would help if again, I don't want it to be too long of a file name at the same time. But yes, if they want to indicate what category it is, then they can go ahead and throw that in there. Can you post the recording at the SEFH website? So, Zandra, are you asking the recording for these mini-series to throw it on the website?
Yes, you can send it to us like you did before.
Okay, great, yes. Okay. So all those that have registered to be a part of this event, I'll be sure to email you all either later on this evening or tomorrow sometime with the video link of this meeting. I hope I'm still recording, yes. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? No? All right, just a reminder, next week, we are gonna have our last of these mini sessions. And that meeting is gonna be focused on TechSEF, ISEF, and I believe the judging process. Now, I'm not gonna entertain questions specifically as to the judging criteria. The judging criteria is not gonna change very much in terms of how we're judging. The only aspect that's really changing is that interview section. But we will talk more about the judging and what that interface is going to look like, because Rocket Judge has created a unique way of us to try to judge for our event. But hopefully, again, feel free to join me next week. Have your peers join us next week. Again, these meetings, the purpose is to keep it nice, short, and informative. And if I failed on that, please do email me, let me know so that I can work on what I do. But if there are no more questions, I wish you all a great evening, and I look forward to seeing the projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, Elena.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.